It is Hermitcraft time, episode 133. We're here in the bunker, now fully secured with tons upon tons of redstone traps and things, but today's episode is not going to be anything to do with Demise. It's not going to be anything to do with the bunker. Today we're going to be working on a rather large-scale farm, which I have to say has me very, very excited indeed. You see, I asked you guys on Twitter what sort of things you'd like me to build on the Hermitcraft server, and a lot of you came back saying iron farm, and I have to say I had totally forgotten about the fact that iron mechanics and iron generation mechanics have totally changed as of Minecraft 1.14, and whereas beforehand you had to build a huge structure with loads and loads of doors, and it was all very complicated and confusing, we kind of left Tango to do it for us, now you can actually build an iron farm using some really interesting game mechanics. Or at least from a technical perspective, they're probably not as interesting as like the whole stacking doors thing and the rebuilding of the villages, but they're interesting because now things have gotten a lot simpler for the average person, like me. I'm very average in the brain department. Now obviously this is going to be constructed in the industrial district because this is where these farms go, but first we actually have to find a good design. Okay. No. Perfect. And if you've never seen one of Nembom's Fun Farms videos, then please stop watching this video and just go watch all of them. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about why this works because I would highly suggest checking out Nembom's video on that. It's brilliant, as always. But this is the design that I think I'm going to build. It's a bit of an interesting one. You can see it's slightly wonky. There's some interesting rail mechanics going on. But it produces so many iron golems. I mean, look at them. Every single time this guy goes past those villagers, you get between 1 and 2 iron golems. I think generally speaking, it is 2 iron golems, and I believe it produces 4,600 iron per hour. Which I think we can all agree is quite a lot of iron. That's a ridiculous quantity of iron. I'd only need to leave it running for 1 hour and then I think I'd be done. So I think I'm going to take on this project in stages. First things first, getting all the rails and everything like that built, the infrastructure. Then I can do the item transportation and the killing systems. Then I can start worrying about how I'm going to get a husk and 30 villagers over to my industrial district, because I don't know yet. We will worry about that when it comes to it, to be honest with you. Anyway, here we've got a bunch of resources here. We're going to be using glass for the actual blocks that the rails go on, and obviously I've got all the bits for the rails too, and I think it's going to go in this area here. I imagine it will fit. Yeah, it will definitely fit in this space, won't it? I just double checked. Yeah, 100%. It's tiny compared to this. In fact, we could probably fit 2 of them in this area here. I'm just lying out all of the areas that the rails are going to go, and part of me thinks it would be quite cool to almost stagger them and have another one over there. But yeah, let's worry about building this one first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is my life at the minute. I don't know how I've managed to do it, but I've managed to build this thing to perfection first time. I haven't messed anything up. I haven't mismeasured anything. I had the correct number of resources, which is fantastic, and everything is all in place and ready to go already. That never happens. And I also gotta say, I cannot believe how small this thing is. I know you probably can't see it because YouTube compression, darkness, the bedrock texture, glass, and rain are just not doing it any favors right now. But look, it only takes up a tiny, tiny little area in this place. Anyway, let's get to work on placing in all of the rails. Now, the reason that this rail setup is the way it is because the husk has to take a certain length of time, which I believe is 36 or maybe 46.5 seconds to go round the full loop, because that's the length of time it takes for the villagers to reset their iron golem detection thing in their brains. Yes, I would highly suggest watching Nembom's video. It will make a lot more sense than how I'm explaining it. Next up, it's the pulse extenders. And doing these is a little bit tricky because they're 1 block beneath all of the blocks that I've placed, so I could do some scaffolding and everything like that, but I'm actually going to use an old school Minecraft technique. See if I can still do it. Yeah, I'm still a professional. So with those in place now, I guess we could do, yeah, the villager kind of chilling areas where the villagers are actually going to be. As I say, this build is one of those builds that's it's all in stages, so you have to get all the different elements in place. It's like a puzzle, and yes, I'm still not 100% certain how we're actually going to get the villagers over here in the husk. I'll be honest, it's kind of playing on my mind. I'm almost tempted to just employ another hermit to do it. I know Tango and Impulse used to do that in maybe Hermitcraft Season 4, potentially Hermitcraft Season 5. I wonder if they're still in business. And actually, on the topic of that sort of thing, In fact, on the topic of everything here, so the first time I ever built an iron farm was in Hermitcraft Season 2. This was before Tango was part of the Hermitcraft server, but I actually had to invite him onto the Hermitcraft server briefly so that he could see the farm that I was building. I think it was called the Iron Trench or the Iron Titan in Hermitcraft Season 2, and I didn't want to deal with the villagers, so I asked Red Eyes, who was a member of the Hermitcraft server at the time, to actually move villagers into the farm itself to get it up and working. And this was back when doors didn't stack, and there was something like 600 doors in that thing. Quick correction, it was called the Iron Foundry, and yes, Hermitcraft Season 2, my first season on the server. Anyway, back over to these villager cells and things. I've got a bunch of barrels, so all of our villagers are going to be fishermen. 30 fishermen. 30 fishermen in a hole with no water and no fish. They're going to have a bit of a depressing life, but also we need a bunch of beds, which means that I have come over to Exumavoid's free wool area, and I'm going to grab myself one. What do you reckon? Lime beds? They look pretty cool. It's funny because none of the things that are actually in this build are particularly complicated or technical in the slightest. It's not even that tricky of a project. It's just a lot of measuring. I want to make sure that everything is perfect and everything's been properly measured out, because if I do this wrong, I imagine things will start breaking fast. But as far as I can tell, I have done everything perfectly so far. So we need redstone dust on top of these barrels to stop something happening on it. There's some reason why we need that, and then I need this here, and then it's just end rods around here to keep everything bright and keep all of our villagers in place, because this is where our villagers are going to be standing. There's 3 of them, and then they've got their workstations down there. They have access to a bed. All of these things are necessary for them to actually be able to spawn iron golems. So that's that platform, and as you can see, we have got all of them located around these little bumps. Cool. Okay, what comes next? I'm assuming iron golem droppage. So those little dropping chambers will probably go, I think, maybe 4 or 5 blocks underneath these platforms. I hope our little mushroom farm doesn't get in the way. Actually, hang on. I'm curious. How many mushrooms do you reckon this farm has produced? I genuinely have no idea. Whoa! 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 Hang on, that's way more than I expected. This thing's only this thing only produces like 16 an hour. That's nuts. Shows how much work I do in the industrial district. Jeez. So instead of doing the iron golem droppers, I'm actually going to do the iron golem killers and the item transportation system first, and then we can work upwards from there. So these platforms are 18 blocks down from this minecart rail. I'm sure there's a reason for that, because all of these are 18 blocks apart. And now I'm just going to connect everything up, and this is where everything is going to be happening, basically. And I got very lucky when I built this thing that I didn't build it like 4 blocks lower, because then we wouldn't have been able to construct this stuff. With these last few glass blocks, that is the full guideline all now in place. So that's that. Now this is cool because the iron golems fall in here and they die, and then the items actually travel through the killing chambers, and they'll be picked up somewhere next to that massive pile of lava. That is definitely going to be a precarious item filter to construct. Now obviously these things, they're not just platforms, flat platforms. We need to place all of the blocks around them because they have water and lava on the inside. Obviously the lava to kill off the iron golems and the water to transport the iron golems and also transport the items. And now all the infrastructure is in place, it's time for me to actually start filling it in. We've got ice for water, lava, signs to keep all the lava in place, pressure plates to keep the water in place. Everything will now be working. Amazing. Looks pretty cool down there as well. Everything is starting to look a tiny bit more substantial. And this really, really fits in with the industrial district. I say this every single time I build a new farm in this place, but I am so happy that I decided to construct this ridiculous perimeter and just fill it to the brim with all sorts of industrial and ugly farms, because it means that I can build massive industrial ugly farms, which really is what I enjoy doing most in Minecraft. Anyway, we've got all this. It is literally just the water pushes that are going to funnel the iron golems down into this thing, and then it's all done from a building perspective. This is an exciting time. I get to dump an entire shulker box worth of sand into my super smelter. It's quite rare that I get an entire shulker box worth, so this is always pretty satisfying. Except weirdly enough, the furnaces have actually run out of fuel, and this bamboo farm that's meant to be fueling all of the furnaces has totally stopped working. And I've started breaking things. I can't even remember what I did. It's always really annoying when you've built something and then you've forgotten. How does it... How does it work? That goes there. Oh, that looks... What? Yeah. No. What? What? Eventually I got it all worked out. It was actually really, really simple. And it was probably one of my silliest redstone bugs ever. This redstone block was powering a piece of redstone dust that used to be right there. Right there. Right next to the redstone. I mean, how did I not notice that when I built it? Either way, the bamboo is now flowing in, but it is going to take a very long time to fill up all of these furnaces. But I guess I can watch that happening whilst also constructing these little things. It's taken some time to work out where they go, so I've got glass panes running up there. It's also impossible to see what I've built because I've built it out of glass panes, which are basically invisible. But I've got glass panes going up there, which will hopefully stop the iron golems from falling in any weird areas. And then this is where they can fall, and there'll be something mirrored on the other side, and they'll just drop down through the middle. Now, the only thing is, Nembom has used fence gates. I was going to use signs. Is there any difference between them? That is the question. Is there some reason why I should use fence gates? I'm never sure. You know, who knows? With an Nembom design, you don't know if a couple extra signs is just going to half the efficiency. And that sounded negative, but honestly, it's a positive. It's because these things are so positionally accurate that sometimes just doing the smallest little things sends it all out of whack. Anyway, I wanted the second one now, and I've got to say, these glass panes, they're a nightmare. I don't remember them being this transparent on the side. Also, Exuma seems to be having a bad day. I must admit, I'm also being a little bit lazy with my water streams. Nembom, if this is going to affect efficiency in any way, please do let me know, and I'll stop being so lazy. Anyway, we're all out of glass, which is no surprise because I've used tons of it, and this super smelter is still refilling itself, which means currently only one furnace is working at a time, which means it's not really a super smelter, is it? So I think we should head back over to the bunker while this thing breaks out some glass. And, yeah, we need to do a bit of a demise log. Demise log 003? 3? Is it demise log 0? I think this is number 3. Okay, demise log 003. 3? I think it's 3. 3 hermits have died. I think 3 hermits have died. I mean, I think 3 hermits have died. That means that traps are probably going to be more prevalent. I've really got to watch my step, and unfortunately, my honey addiction is slightly subsiding. I mean, I still love honey blocks, okay, but I'm not building with them quite so often, so that means I'm on the Hermitcraft server a little bit more, which means that, well, now I could actually die. Whereas before, you know, when I was just messing around with honey blocks, I wasn't really on the server. I kind of, you know, I could survive for ages. Now, I'm playing again. I'm spending lots of time on here. I could be in trouble. Demise log out. Honestly, I feel like I could be getting worse at those, I swear. I mean, my first one was pretty bad. My second one was good. That was, yeah, I mean, I definitely need some work. I never was much of a vlogger. Filming, though, I love that. You can check out the latest film. That might just be my most shameless plug, but trust me, Zedaf and Chris and Jack would definitely appreciate it. Anyway, moving swiftly on, I actually want to check something out real quick. I know that Iskal's been working on like a Sahara resort type place in the jungle that is just south of my ridiculous chorus plant farm that is far too laggy to use on the server. I know Scar is working on some ridiculous things. Wow, this really is ridiculous. I'm not going to look at that too much because that is insane. That was bonkers. But I want to try and find this place. Ah, that's looking promising. Whenever you just see a block of white concrete, I just assume that is something Sahara related. That sound, my voice going up in pitch, was me trying to read signs while also finishing a sentence. And I gotta say, I do appreciate Joe's way of writing out his signs. This is lovely, though. This is totally lovely. It kind of reminds me of the Philippines in a way. Very, very pretty. So this is like a lodge, like a safe house, as it were. That's all very cool. I also know that they've been doing some serious work on the Sahara secret bunker. I think it now has a secret entrance, but it's so secret I don't actually know how to get in. This button here It seems too convenient, and I'm not going to press it because it could be a trap, and I'm too scared. So I'm going to go in through my secret back-end entrance. Now, this, of course, is a very, very long tunnel, but I would say it is well worth the risk. I am not going to press any unlabeled buttons, okay? Especially while I'm surviving so well at the minute. I'm actually doing okay. Like, I'm surviving way better than I thought I would. I've had a few hairy moments, don't get me wrong, but I'd still say I'm doing alright. And now that I've arrived, yeah, this place looks pretty nuts. Even more has been done. We've got buildings going up. I've got to say, Iskal Green, do you want a hand on this? Do you want me to come in and do some building? I mean, I'm happy to. My bunker's kind of done now, so I can pop in. Maybe we'll have a meeting sometime. And I promise, okay, I promise, this time I will turn up, alright? And I won't leave through the roof. Although that was funny. I will stay firmly on the ground. I'm also going to make use of this new exit. This is an exit, right? Oh, okay. I was so scared. Please don't. So it was that button all along. I walked nearly 2,000 blocks. It's not a secret entrance if there's a button. Iskal! Iskal! Come on! Redstone torch key! ID cards! Something! I'm still scared to press the button though. I am. Let's get back to the iron farm. Yeah, let's finish up the iron farm. I've just realised. Wow, I have really made a schoolboy error. Obviously the furnaces aren't smelting glass right now because I'm not over by the furnaces. What? I haven't made that mistake since like 2010. We are just about on the home straight now. Everything is going to plan. Hopefully I now have enough resources to actually get everything finished up. And yeah, 1.5 modules to go. And now those 1.5 modules are done and our iron farm is all finished. This thing right here will produce 4,600 iron per hour, I believe. Or at least 4,500. That's a lot of iron. How many iron blocks is that? And how much is that for like a 12-hour AFK session? I'm sure all of you will start doing the maths down in the comment section. But I got to say, build-wise, this has been a bit of a strange one because it's been a challenge. When you look at it, it looks like quite an easy little thing. I mean, no, it doesn't actually. It looks pretty cool. Now that it's fully constructed, it actually looks really, really cool in this place. But it's been an odd one because there's so much measuring involved, and I wanted to make sure that it was perfect because you have to be so careful with those sorts of farms. With this sort of thing, it's easy. It's just strips of blocks. I could do that all day long. There's no precision there. Whereas this is precise. Everything has to be correct. Anyway, there is one very important element missing. If you haven't guessed already, I'll tell you once my elytra are all fully repaired. I was flying very low there. But it, of course, is villagers. We need villagers in place. We need 30 of them in total because there is 6 for every single one of the modules. And, of course, there are 5 modules. Now, I kind of have 2 options, okay? I can either set up a minecart rail and then transport 30 villagers from here and from here over to the place. That's one way to do it. And is it easy? I mean, it's not impossible. But 30 villagers is quite a lot of villagers. Or, alternatively, I could build one of these things. Another one of these, like a little villager breeder. Set it up. Get 3 villagers over there. Then AFK overnight. And then I'll probably have around about 30 villagers by the end of the night. And then I can move them all into place with various minecart rails once again. Would it be handy for me to have a villager breeder over at the industrial district? Maybe. But then, is it a lot more effort to make a villager breeder than it is to just literally connect this minecart rail into a nether portal and then shoot them through? I don't know. I would say I'll leave it up to you down in the comment section. What do you reckon? I mean, I'll take some inspiration from it. I'll also, I'll kind of have a think about it over the next couple days. At the minute, I'm leaning on just transporting them, but then building a villager breeder could potentially be smart. Either way, I really do hope that you've enjoyed this Hermitcraft episode, and I'll catch you in the next one. Time for another shameless plug. You see, do you know Zenaf on the Hermitcraft server? Well, he also has a channel where he does like comedy skits with his friend Jack. It's called Chris, and Jack, and we've done a film together. I did all of the cinematography, the lighting, I was the person behind the camera, they did the writing and the comedy. You should check it out, a link will be on the end screen. I think you'll appreciate it.
One.